Hey everybody, it's Dad signing a game, and we are here to talk to you today about Tales of the Arabian Nights. I don't know what that meant, but
I was trying to meditate.
I don't think it's Arabian. I think it's more like Indian.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, oh well. Anyway, intro. Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's from Z-Man Games. It's been published several times. I think originally in like the 1980s, then again in 2009, and then most recently in 2012. This game is hard to find right now. We got lucky and happened to luck into a shipment on Amazon. But at any rate, we gave this game a play, and we're going to tell you what we think about it.
By the way, I won.
He won. So, at any rate, here's how you play the game. So this game is called Tales of the Arabian Nights. It's a kind of a bigger game, and we played it last night, so I left it set up so I could do this little filming of it. You're going to hear some clicking in the background. That's my wife. She's doing some stuff on her computer right behind me, and she's got a cold, so you might hear her sniff a little bit too. So anyway, this is the basic game. The board's right here. It's going to be hard for me now to get some glare in there. It's a very shiny board. And here's how a player's setup would work. I'll go over that real quick with you. Basically, you have these little icons here that have different words that describe what's going on in the game on them. So my character last night, by the time it was all said and done, had wisdom, acting in disguise, weapon use, luck, stealth and stealing, and piety. So all those different things do something for you. And then you also get these cards. So like I was on a pilgrimage last night, and I also was determined, and I was also blessed. So these are things that I had happen to me as I played the game, and I had a quest that I was trying to complete, but I couldn't complete. But I never really was able to. These are also types of encounter cards that I have that were cities that give me special powers too. That I was trying to go to those cities and get like a special reward. So that's kind of how I ended up last night. But this player board here, I'll put a picture up of that while I'm talking right now, I guess. It has a lot of good information on it. You're going to use that when you're making decisions throughout the game. So like basically every reaction matrix has the verbiage that you can use for each time that you encounter something right on your map. And then it has also the available skills over here. And then this is kind of fun. I played as Sinbad last night, and there's the male sign, and then also there's a female sign on there. So I could win a boy or a girl. So as Sinbad, because there's ways that you can get sex changed. So okay, now I'm going to pan over here to the board, and here's the board, and I'm going to put, there's some cards back there in the book, and I'm going to show you just roughly how a turn would go. So if you played with, here's Sinbad, who I played with last night. Well, I have a wealth amount over here that determines how much I can move. So at one point last night in the game, I was rich, so I could move 4 spaces either over land or over sea. So I'm going to move 4 spaces. So and I was trying to make it to Mecca last night. So 1, 2, and then let's say 3, 4, and I end up in this city down here. And this city, I'm going to call it Zayla, and I'm sure I'm totally butchering that. If you're from Egypt or someplace where that city is, and I ruined the name of your city, I'm sorry. But basically I go there, and when I get there, I flip over an encounter card. And so here's an example of an encounter card, and I'll put a picture up of that. So this is saying that I ended up on Ape Island when I was there, and then it has a bunch of numbers on the bottom. And so when I went into a city, it says 56. So 56 means I have to flip to, in the big book here, I have to flip to number 56. So I flipped to number 56, and number 56 is going to have a list of things for me here. And this is actually a lot smoother when it plays out when you have a group of people playing, because one guy does the reaction matrices, which is this one, and the other one does the book, and then you just make your decisions on your turn. But 56, so then I roll 1 die, and it was a 5, and let's say I was just starting at the beginning of the game. Well, all I have to do is add this number to the number on my city, and that gives me a 7. So 56, 7. So I ran into some strange customs on Ape Island in that city. And now I have to decide how I want to react to that. And it also tells me that strange customs is reaction matrix I. So I can either honor those customs, attack those customs, avoid those customs, aid those customs, rob those customs, which I don't get that, follow the customs, question the customs, or pray, and just like seek guidance. So I'm gonna follow the customs. Why not? Because it looks kind of like maybe it'll lead me to some fun. So then I go to my reaction matrix here, and so then it has the adjectives in one column on the reaction matrix, and it has the verbs on the other side there. And this is why you should have paid attention in language arts class. But it was strange. They were strange customs, and so strange, and then I followed them. So I do strange and follow, and I cross-reference them, almost like a multiplication chart. And it's 2,335 is what the number it gives me is, and then I roll this die. This is the destiny die, and it gives me a plus or minus. So this gives me a plus, so that means I add 1 to it. So 2,336. Now I flip to 2,336 in this book, and that tells me what happened to me. And that's going to be near the back, way near the back. 2,336. Alright, so right here's what happened to me. Addendum passes by the ship, causing panic among the crew. The captain begins to chant and gesture strangely, and quickly the rest of the crew begins to do the same thing. And if I had scholarship, which I didn't have, I would have a different fate, but since I have no skill, I instead have, you can only assume that this has something to do with your addendum and the safety of the ship, so you join the chant as well. Your ship sails along unharmed. So that's what happened to me. It was pretty uneventful actually, but it also tells me S1, which means I get 1 story point. And so I moved the story, my little chip along the story track here, and work my way up. I get 1 point. So let's say I was at 7, I would go up to 8 on that. And you keep doing that, you keep going different places, and you read these little passages about what's happening to you. And that was really an uneventful one. I mean, there was some crazy stuff that happened last night. Like, when we played last night, my son Luke, and I'm sure he'll talk about this in his review, he was Aladdin. He's like the most like innocent, well-hearted person out of all the Tales of the Arabian Nights. He kept killing people. Like, he would just show up and he would try not to kill them. He would, like pray or something, and like the passage would say, as you pray, your quick reaction times overtake you, and you pull your sword out and stab the prince. And he killed 2 people last night, and he felt really bad both times he did it. But I mean, it's a really unpredictable game, and it's a lot of fun. It's not really even a game. I mean, like, if you want to try and win, and you're focusing on making choices to help you think you're going to win, you really can't do that. I mean, there's probably some strategy on how you can win the game, but this game's just not really about winning. It's about playing. So that's, I mean, in a real quick synopsis of how the game works, how it works. It's a choose-your-own-adventure board game almost. You go different places, flip through the matrix and find things in the book, and then read what happens to your character. And it's a lot of fun. They kind of put a points value kind of thing to it to make it a bit of a game, but it's really just sort of a go move around the world and have things happen to you kind of game. So that's about it for how you play. Let's see what Luke and I think about it. Okay, so that's roughly how you play the game. So, Luke, what do you think of the art and theme of this game?
I'm gonna have to give it probably an 8 because the art is pretty detailed, but the theme is, I don't know. I mean, it's a cool theme, but at the same time, I just am not a big fan of desert games.
Okay, art and theme for me. I'm going to say art and theme on this get like an 8.5 or 9 because the Arabian Nights are so cool, and this is a slightly different theme than, like, they definitely could have used this mechanic of, like, cross-referencing actions with encounters, and you look it up in a book, and they definitely could have done, like, King Arthur or space navigation. But instead they did something kind of cool and classic. They did the Tales of the Arabian Nights, which I think is awesome. And I don't know much about the Arabian Nights short stories, but this is kind of teaching me about them, and it makes me curious about them, so I'm looking up like facts from it. In the lore and the culture, it's very cool. And I don't know much about it, so it's encouraged me to learn about it. So I'm going to go higher than him. I think the theme is super cool, and I think that the art is awesome. The board and all the components are of the highest quality that I've seen in any game. The cards aren't, but the board is so nice. The little like chips and player mats and everything are just really great. Super nice. Okay, the fun factor.
Fun factor, I'm going to have to give it probably a 9 because I just like the encounter part. Like how you encounter animals and hags and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, the encounters make it a lot of fun for you?
Yeah.
So what about the encounters? Like, what makes them fun?
The encounters, what makes them fun is that they're different every time because you have so many options. So let's say, well, you probably heard it in the game thing, but yeah.
You can repeat it.
So like you encounter an elephant and it's a Matrix C or something like that, and I choose to aid it, and just something totally crazy happens. And,
yeah. I'm gonna give the fun on this game a, wait for it, drumroll, 10. Man, I can't think of a game that I've had this much fun playing in a long time. It was a total blast playing this game last night. It got a little long and it was a little cumbersome towards the end. The flipping the pages in the book thing and trying to look up matrices, we were really clumsy at it at first, so that made our game extra long last night. Like, our game was close to 3 hours last night, but it didn't feel like a 3-hour game. Most of the time in a 3-hour game, I'm like, 3 hours. Can't we just skip the last 5 turns? But this 3-hour game last night, towards the end I knew it was getting late because I was getting tired, but I mean, like, there's not many 3-hour games that I would play the next day, and I would go up, if people would play with me, I'd go up and play it again today. I'm not so sure Luke's interested in that. He has a lot of video games he wants to play today, so...
What?
Yeah, you like to play video games on Saturdays.
Yeah, but I only have an hour.
Yeah, he does only have an hour. So, at any rate, our house rule is he only gets an hour of video games. That's probably why he plays board games at all. So, at any rate, a 10. A 10 rating on fun. It's just a lot of fun. It's so cool because... essentially what happens in this game is you try and do like almost like a role play and say, well, what would my character want me to do right now? Or you can even like decide to like be kind of funny about it and just be like, I'm gonna just see what happens if I try and rob this elephant. So I mean, like,
I bargained with an elephant, and yet it was actually an okay turn.
Yeah, and like if you do rob an elephant or bargain with an elephant, like, they have outcomes that make sense. Like, you would think if you rob an elephant, it would be like, you try and pull an elephant's tusk off its face, it mauls you to death. Like, but no, there's like a real like situation where they work out robbed.
And like when you bargain with it, like your rivals see it or something like that, and
yeah,
like it makes a bargain with you that it'll go fight your rival.
Yeah, so basically, like, it works out. It totally works out with the story. And they've put a lot of thought into how to make these things work out. And I think, like, I don't know, I'm not a statistician, but, like, there's, like, 3,000 little paragraphs in the book, plus however many times you'd sequence those. So, like, I'm guessing it's going to come out to, like, 9 million different ways this game could play out, or more. I mean, like, with the different character combinations and stuff, like, I'm going to say you probably have, like, I don't know, 100 million ways this game could play out. So, I mean, you're never going to replay the exact same game. But at any rate, the fun is just really huge. It's really fun. And, like, I thought it was really funny last night when we were playing that Luke was playing as Aladdin, and he was trying to, like, play as, like, the Disney character Aladdin almost. Like, be kind and, like, well-intentioned and have a sweetheart and, like, be nice to people. And, like, he ended up killing 2 people last night, like, without wanting to.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, I tried to hire a slave, and he ended up doing it, and then because I had weapon arms and I was honoring the prince, like, the way he said it made me angry, and I supposedly killed him.
So he killed 2 people by, like, trying to be a good guy and hiring a slave out of his, like, bad master's ownership, and then he tried to, like, honor the prince, and he ends up killing him. So, like, there's some randomness in there, and you can't predict what's going to happen, which I think adds to the fun. It's just a really fun game, and, so that's it. Family factor.
Family factor, I am going to give it 6 because it's pretty hard to learn, and I don't know. And some of the things can look kind of scary in the art. Like the hunchbacks and some of the stories are a little intense.
I'm going to say Family Factor gets... He brings up a really good point that there are some things in this that you may not want, like, a littler kid to know about. So, like, Luke's on the edge of us. Like, we're not going to hide him from it, but, like, there's, like, seduction and, like, things like that in the game that are, like, okay, I don't know. Like, things that, like...
And there are, like, scary things, too.
Yeah, there's some scary stuff. But, I think the thing that is unfamily to families on this is the matrix system and the book. So, like, if you had 2 adults playing with, like, 3 kids, it would be really, really unfun for the adults because basically the whole time you're going to be, like, flipping pages in the book, trying to find things in the matrix for your kids who can't do it themselves. And, like, Luke's pretty good at that kind of stuff. But even he had a hard time with the book. I mean, the book's just big, and, like, his hands are little, and he was trying to flip pages, and, like...
Towards the end, I got better, though, because I, like, figured out that, like, maybe, like, 40 wasn't in the middle of the book, because I used to, like, flip towards the middle.
It was like, hey, 86, Luke, and he's, like, at the back, like, in the thousands. We're like, 86, dude. Oh, okay.
But I accidentally, like, flipped it by accident. Well, I think that one time I thought you were saying, like, 2,400 and something.
And I was saying 86.
But you were saying like 24, 5
Oh, 24,
something?
option 5. Yeah, and you went to like 245. So, like, anyway, the flipping pages and trying to figure out where paragraphs are at and things isn't the easiest thing in the world, and it would be a little tough for a younger kid. But as far as family rating goes, I'm going to say the plus on the side, the awesome part about it, is one, my wife happened to see Quinn's review of this, and... on SUSD, and she was like, that game looks fun, you should order it if you can find it. And I was like, well, you can't find it. And then I just kind of was shopping around for it, and I happened to luck into a copy, and she's like, get it, just get it. And, like, I think it's the first game she's ever told me to get, and she told me to get it just because she thought it kind of looked fun on a whim. But then at any rate, she ended up being, there's like this weird little thing floating in front of me.
Yeah, I keep saying a bug, too.
Weird. Anyway, I don't know if it was a bug or what it was, but at any rate, hey, fun, let's pay attention. So she told me to get the game, and I did get the game, and she ended up playing last night, and she had a blast at it. And she's never played a game that lasts over about an hour and enjoyed it. I think she thought it was maybe about half an hour too long last night, because it did just take us a long time to figure things out at the beginning. But she's a fan of it, and she likes it a lot, so she actually made a special point to come down here and say, give it a thumbs up for me. So I don't even need the mom approved thing. Like, she definitely likes it. She's definitely a fan. So that's a pretty huge deal for...
So should we do a moment of silence?
Yeah, we'll do a moment of silence and put the in there. Now, there it is. See right here, mom approved. So,
just rubbed it
overall rating. What's your overall rating on it?
Overall, I am going to give it an 8.5, because, I mean, overall it's a good game, because it's just really fun, and everything just plays out kind of well, so.
8.5? That's high for you. I'm going to give it a high rating too. I'm going to say this is probably my favorite game right now, and I'm looking forward to playing it with different groups of people. I'm not saying this in like a rated R way, but I'm looking forward to playing it with a group of adults who are like a little quicker, and like the other thing too is the reading in it sometimes. Like some of the vocabulary they use, like it's hard for me to know what the words mean, and like I'm sure there's some words in there that Luke was like, what?
Yeah, like probably half of the words I couldn't even read, because it was just like Konamaya or something like that.
Yes, Konamaya. I don't know what that means, but he says you can't read it. So
I was just making that up.
I could tell. So at any rate, I'm going to say overall rating on this game, I'm going to give it a 9.5. I think it's really fun, really a blast, and as far as for families go, maybe a 9. overall rating, not 8.5 maybe for families, but for me as a gamer, 9.5. Awesome game. And it's not even really a game, it's more of a storytelling mechanic, or just like having fun with people socially and interacting. And so I am a social and laid-back gamer, and this is a very social, laid-back game. So at any rate, I really enjoyed it. I would strongly suggest that when this gets back in print, different places, try and find it and pick it up. Amazon had some copies this week. It said back in stock soon. So I will say this, we just got our copy, and I was like, are they reprinting this, or did they have some in a warehouse somewhere? And I'm pretty sure they had some in a warehouse somewhere, because the little Z-Man insert had a bunch of games from 2009 or so in it. So I don't think they are reprinting it. I think they just found a few more copies in a warehouse somewhere. So there probably will be a reprint, as much demand as there is for this game right now, but if you can find it, get it.
Maybe miniatures and the
Oh, that'd be cool if they
like
put miniatures in
miniatures.
That'd be cool.
That would actually fit the board, because I feel like you're ginormous giants just walking through the board.
Yeah, you are huge. The little cardboard cutouts are huge on the board, and they actually kind of block your view sometimes. But at any rate, that may be the one thing I'm critical of about this game. So, overall, very good. We like it a lot. Anything else to say?
Not really.
Cool. Alright, thanks for watching, and this was Tales of the Arabian Nights.